Adamni, now this is a huge concern for us. We've been speaking to students since the morning, many of them, complaining about how the advisory from the Indian government came too late, that, from the other countries it come much earlier. Also talking about the prohibitive cost of tickets, and that's one of the reasons that they were waiting, and they booked tickets maybe in March, maybe a couple of days later for when the tickets were cheaper, and they say they wished that the government had made more of an effort to, ensure that they leave safely.
Right, Gargi. Since the day Indian Embassy in Kyiv had issued the first advisory, we have been hearing angry voices from students. They were angry that other nations had given advisories much more in advance, and also that the price of the tickets are too high. Even one-way ticket is double the price it usually costs, around 60,000 rupees. And there are many students who come from middle-class, lower-middle-class families who cannot actually afford to do this to and fro as the situation demands. So they are obviously quite angry about it. But now there is another advisory where the embassy in Kyiv is telling the students, all the Indian nationals, to stay put wherever they are, not to go out and follow the advisories closely. In Delhi, we have been told by our sources that there is a flurry of activity here. There are several meetings which are taking place, and the focus is on how to get the Indian nationals evacuated from there, because now the airspace is closed. So the officials here, the government here, is looking at alternate routes through which the students can be brought back to safety. There are contingency plans which have been put into place now, and there are Russian-speaking officials who have reached there in Kyiv, in Indian embassy. Also, other officers are being deployed there. Embassy is functional, that is being said again and again, and the control room is functioning round the clock, so that any kind of query from the students, from the Indian nationals, or the parents who are quite worried about the whole situation, which they obviously should be, because the voices which we are hearing from there is that they can hear the explosions, they can hear the fighter jets, and they have seen people rushing to safety, the Ukrainian nationals rushing for safety, and they do not know what to do, especially the students. They are quite young, they do not know what to do, how to manage it, and they are depending completely on the embassy there. So these are the concerned voices, these are the concerned parents, students, for whose help now the control room has been established. We will have to see how MEA makes arrangements for all these students, and the numbers are huge. It is almost 20,000. Whether all of them would be wanting to coming back or to stay somewhere close in some safer place is still to be seen. As earlier when we were talking to the foreign ministry, we were told that not many students are keen to come back. So we will have to see how many students actually get evacuated from Ukraine, how many stay put in safety there, and what alternate routes the government is able to arrange for these nationals, Indian nationals, Gargi.
Is there a possibility of an alternate route? Because we did speak to one, a person whose brother and sister were both there in Ukraine, and he had gone to the MEA. He'd spoken to some IFS officers, he claimed, and he said that he was told they were trying to work out some sort of a road route from Ukraine to evacuate the students. Is that something you're hearing?
Well, at the moment we have not been, our sources not actually giving us more details about this. This is a continuously evolving situation. But when you look at the map of Ukraine, we have at least Poland, Slovakia, Hungary and Romania. I think these are the four countries, and Poland, I think, is the more probable destination from where students can be taken back to India. But we still have to see any details about it, and definitely if such a situation is there, where there are fighter jets overhead and missiles are falling all around you, so there has to be some route which has to be worked out from Kyiv and from other places where Indian students are putting up, to get them via road to safety to some other country. That is a massive operation, and we will have to see how it works out. However, we will have to also remember in Afghanistan what the situation was and how nationals were taken out, but at that time the numbers were not so huge. We will have to see how this works out in Ukraine. This is definitely a huge task, Gargi.
All right, Kadambini, thank you so much for joining us there with the very latest.